Honors Geometry, Homework Section 14.1. Determine the circumference, leave it as an exact value. Circumference is 2 times pi times r. We don't know what the circumference is, but we do know what r is. It's 5 square roots of 3. When you're multiplying, you can multiply in any order. So 2 times 5 is 10. Pi is an irrational number. Square root of 3 is an irrational number. And this was units. So it's 10 pi square roots of 3, or if you prefer, 10 square roots of 3 times pi. Either way, potato, potato. Number 2, we're given the diameter. So your choices are, you can use the formula circumference is pi times diameter, or you can use circumference is 2 times pi times diameter. 2 times pi times the radius. If you use this one here, you got to cut this in half. So it's probably better to use this one. So it's pi times 5 fourths. So that's 5 fourths pi, and the units is centimeters. 3, determine the missing information. Give exact answers. Circumference, we're given. Trying to find d, so let's use the formula. Circumference is pi times diameter. Circumference is 16 pi. That's going to equal pi times d. If you divide both sides by pi, you're going to get the diameter is 16 centimeters. Number 4, trying to find the radius. So I'm going to use the formula for circumference, 2 times pi times r. Don't know the circumference. 2 times pi times r, that's 11 over 16. How do you multiply two fractions? Well, you multiply the top numbers together and the bottom numbers together. Another version of the truth is you can take top numbers, like the 2 and the 11, and see if you can divide a common factor into the 2 or the 11 that would also go into the 16. For example, you can divide 16 by 2, it goes 8 times. 2 goes into 2 once. So that makes this 11 pi over 8 centimeters. Determine the perimeter of the following figures. Lines that appear to be perpendicular are. Well, this is a square. All the sides are the same length. So if you know one side, you multiply it by 4, you're going to get that the perimeter is 20 centimeters. Number 6, find the perimeter. That just means circumference for a circle, which is 2 times pi times r. R in this case is 6. That's 12 pi centimeters. Number 7, since this is, things that are appear to be perpendicular are, I'm just going to take this right here, stretch it out here. I'm going to take this part right here and stretch it down here. So what does that make this? It makes this the perimeter of a rectangle. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Let's call the length 6, and let's call the width. Now, what is the width? Oh, let's see. Well, this is 4, so this is 4. Since this whole thing is 6, and we've used 4 here, this part's 2. So that makes this 2, makes this 2, so that makes this 6. So this actually was a square. This is 24 centimeters. Perimeter of the rectangle is 24 centimeters. Number 8, this is a circle. The diameter is 8, so I'm going to use pi times diameter. So the circumference is 8 pi centimeters. Number 9, if I wanted to, once again, you can do what you want here. You could stretch this out, pull this out here, pull this down here like we did on the other one. Or you could say, well, this is a 2 and another 2 and a 2 and a 2 and a 2. You could say that makes this length up here 6 because it's a 2 and a 2 and a 2. And this is also a 6. So, I mean, once again, you can do this in lots of ways. We could say we got 3 6s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got 5 2s. It's going to be 18 plus 10. It's going to be 28. Had you pulled those things out and made this a rectangle, you'd have a rectangle that was what would it be? 8 by 6. So you have an 8 and an 8 and a 6 and a 6. Turns out to be 28 regardless. Now 10, you can't pull this out and make it a rectangle. Here's the reason. I mean, you can make part of it a rectangle. If you take this section here and you stretch it out here, that's all fine and dandy, but you can't forget about these two. Same thing with down here. So I'm just going to look at it as to find this perimeter of this weird shape. How many 10s do I have? And how many 3s do I have? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 3s. And I've got 2 10s. And I just covered up all the segments. I just covered all the segments. They're all counted for. So that's 20 plus 30, which is 50 centimeters. On the flip side, number 11. Well, to find the perimeter, you have the lengths of all the sides. This is isosceles because these are 1 dashes. So the perimeter is going to be 13 plus 10 plus 10, which is, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This is 13, so this is 13. So I have 13 plus 13 plus 10, which is 36 centimeters. Number 12, this is interesting. We have part of a circle, so part of the circumference, plus we have a radius and a radius. So the perimeter of Pac-Man is going to be theta times theta over 360, it's part of a circle, times 2 pi r. And then we add to that 2 times the radius. The central angle here, if this is 90, that means this other part's 270. The radius is 2. Radius is 2. 270 over 360 is 3/4. 2 times 2 is 4. So it's 3/4 times 4 pi plus the 4. This first fraction, you're multiplying and dividing by 4, they cancel. So we get 3 pi plus 4. And the unis we are using is centimeters. 13, to find the perimeter, add up all the sides. This is a right triangle. You could use the Pythagorean theorem, or if you recognize this is a Pythagorean triple, it's a 5, 12, 13. So the perimeter is 5 plus 12 plus 13, which is 30 centimeters. 14, looks like we have a quarter of a circle plus 2 radii. So the perimeter of this weird shape is going to be a fourth of the circumference. Oh, let's not say a fourth yet. Let's say it's 90 over 360 times pi times the radius. Screwed that up. That's why I should always write the formulas down first. It's theta over 360 times 2 times pi times r, and then we have 2 radius, 1 here and 1 here. So theta is 90. The radius is 4. Radius is 4. 90 over 360 is a fourth. 2 times 4 is 8. A fourth of 4 is 1. Those cancel essentially. So we got 2 pi plus 8. And that is going to be the units of centimeters. Oh boy, just got a text that all restaurants are closing tonight at 9 and still not going to be opened until who knows when because of the coronavirus. That stinks. Number 15. Find the perimeter of this weird shape. We got a 5 and another 5. We got, let's see, we got a 3 and a 3. Let's do this. Let's call x2. Let's call y5, and let's call z3. So in other words, how many x's do we have? How many y's do we have? How many z's do we have? Looks like we got 3 x's. Well, if I continue this down here, see if I draw this down, 6 x's. So we got each of these green things is an x, 2 in length, if you will. How many y's do we have? Looks like we got 2 of those. And it looks like we got 2 z's. So x, its length is 2. Y, its length is 5. Z, its length is 3. So we got 12 plus 10 plus 6. It's going to be 28, and the units is centimeters. Alrighty. Number 16, the perimeter. We have, let's see, we got this segment and this segment, and then we have half a circle and half a circle. So the perimeter of this pill-shaped thing is going to be the circumference of a circle plus 2 times 30. If the diameter of the circle is 10, I'm going to use pi times d here. So that's pi times 10 plus 60. It's going to make this 60 plus 10 pi, and the units are centimeters. Number 17. What does this perimeter consist of? It will consist of 3/4 of a circle plus however long this is right here. So the perimeter of this figure is going to be theta over 360 times 2 pi r plus, we'll call this y here. We're looking at the circle. If we've used 90 here, that means there's 270 left for this. And the radius is 4. That's 3/4. I'm not forgetting about the y, I'm just worrying about the part that I know. 4's cancel here. And I end up with 6 pi. As far as the y is concerned, since the radius never changes, this is an isosceles triangle. which makes this a 45, 45, 90. If the short leg is 4, then the long leg is going to be that times the square root of 2. So y is 4 square roots of 2. The units for this is centimeters. Number 18, supposed to find the perimeter. Well, this perimeter of this figure consists of, depending on how you look at it, well, this part for here is half of a circle. So it's half the circumference plus, if I decide to take this, pull it out here, and if I take this and pull it up here, just makes this a rectangle, with this length being 5 and 5, which is 10, and this length here being 5 and 1, which is 6. So that's perimeter of a rectangle. So that's half of 2 pi r. Well, I tell you what, I can use pi times diameter, probably a little easier, plus 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. The diameter here is 6 because it was 6 over here, so it's 6 all the way through. The length of this rectangle is 10. Let's say the width is 6. Running out of space. So that's going to give us 3 pi plus 20 plus 12. It's going to give us 3 pi plus 32 centimeters for the perimeter of this figure. Getting closer. 19. Find the perimeter. We got to know the lengths of all the sides. Well, this is a special right triangle. The short leg is 5. The hypotenuse is twice the short leg, so that's 10. The long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3, so that's 5 square roots of 3. So the perimeter is 10 plus 5 plus 5 square roots of 3. The first two terms are like terms. The last fella isn't. So it's 15 plus 5 square roots of 3 centimeters is the perimeter. Almost done. Number 20. This gives me flashbacks of geometric mean. Hopefully it gives you the same flashbacks. Find the perimeter. Obviously, we got 9. But what is this side and what is this side? Well, let's call that side x and this side y. This is geometric mean. Might have been section 8.3. I'd look that up if I were you. X squared should equal the product of 4 and the entire length of this side, which is 9. Remember that? Y squared should equal 5 and the entire length of this side, which is 9. I would encourage you to revisit geometric mean. So then x squared is 36. Here, y squared is 45. So x is plus or minus 6. Y is plus or minus the square root of 45. Square root of 45 simplifies to 3 square roots of 5. We're looking for positive versions here only. It doesn't make sense for the length in this context to be negative. So the perimeter is 6 plus 3 square roots of 5 plus 9. So that's 15 plus 3 square roots of 3 plus 3 square roots of 5 centimeters. Well, hopefully that was helpful. We don't all those problems for you. Yeah, I know you can't ask questions directly because of the quarantine that we're under, but hopefully you're doing well. Peace out.